If fear has been quietly running your life, making your decisions smaller, your dreams safer, and your potential limited, then today is the day you take your power back. Because a fearless life isn't something you're born with, it's something you build. Fear is not placed inside you to stop your journey, it is placed there to reveal your next level. It is a signal, a quiet message within your heart that whispers, there is more in you than you are currently living. Think about it, every time you feel fear, it appears at the edge of something meaningful. Not in your comfort zone, not in the routines that keep you safe, but right at the doorway of growth, change, and transformation. Fear doesn't show up when you are doing small things, it rises when you are about to step into something bigger than your current self. And this is where most people misunderstand it. They see fear and they step back. They treat it like a stop sign. They hesitate, they delay, they shrink. But what if fear was never meant to stop you? What if it was meant to guide you? There is a deeper wisdom in this. You are not created to live a small, restricted life. You are created with potential, with purpose, with strength that you haven't even fully discovered yet. And sometimes fear is the very tool that pushes you toward that discovery. Even in faith, you'll find this pattern. When people were called towards something greater, something uncertain, something difficult, they felt fear. But they were reminded to trust, to move forward, to believe that they were not alone in that moment, that the path ahead, even if unclear, was not without purpose. Fear often comes when you are standing between who you are and who you are meant to become. It tightens your chest, fills your mind with doubt, and makes you question your ability. It reminds you of your past failures, your weaknesses, your insecurities. It tells you that you are not ready, not capable, not enough. And yet, what if that feeling is not a warning to retreat, but an invitation to rise? Because growth is never comfortable. Growth stretches you, challenges you, and forces you to confront parts of yourself you would rather avoid. And fear is simply the emotional response to that stretching. You feel fear before you speak your truth. You feel fear before you take a risk. You feel fear before you leave what is familiar. You feel fear before you trust yourself at a higher level. And in those moments, your heart knows something your mind is trying to deny, that staying where you are will cost you more than moving forward. There is also a spiritual weight to fear. Sometimes it is a test of trust, a moment where you are being asked, do you believe in the strength you were given? Do you trust that your path has meaning, even if you cannot see the outcome yet? Because real faith is not proven when everything is easy. It is proven when the road is uncertain, when your hands shake, when your thoughts are loud, but you still choose to move. Fear exposes your attachments to comfort, to certainty, to control. And when you begin to understand it, you realize that fear is not your enemy. It is uncovering where you are holding back, where you are limiting yourself, where you are refusing to step into what you were meant for. There is pain in ignoring fear, but not the fear itself, the regret that follows. The pain of wondering what if. The pain of knowing you had the chance but didn't take it. The silent weight of unrealized potential. And deep down, that regret feels heavier than fear ever could. Because fear is temporary, it rises, it peaks, and then it fades when you act. But regret settles quietly and stays. So every time fear shows up, it carries a hidden message. There is something here for you, something that will stretch you, shape you, and elevate you. It is not there to block your path. It is there to mark the beginning of it. Fear grows in stillness. The longer you sit with it, the more powerful it becomes. It feeds on hesitation, on overthinking, on the endless loop of what if. Your mind begins to create scenarios that haven't happened, outcomes that may never come, and suddenly something small starts to feel overwhelming. You think you are solving the fear by thinking about it, but in reality, you are strengthening it. Because fear lives in the imagination. It builds itself in the space where action is absent. The more you delay, the more detailed it becomes. The more you analyze, the more convincing it sounds. And before you realize it, you're no longer dealing with reality or dealing with a story your mind has created. But the moment you take action, something shifts. Not because the fear disappears instantly, but because you interrupt its cycle. You stop feeding it with thoughts and start confronting it with movement. Even the smallest step begins to break its control. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need complete confidence. You don't need perfect clarity. You need movement. Because action brings truth while thinking often brings distortion. When you act, you replace assumptions with real experience. You begin to see what is actually difficult and what was only imagined. You realize that many of the fears you built in your mind lose their weight when faced directly. And there is something deeper happening within you when you act. You begin to trust yourself. Every step you take sends a message to your mind. I am capable. I can handle this. I can move even when I feel afraid. That message becomes stronger with every action, and slowly fear loses its authority over you. There is also a spiritual dimension to this. You were not created to remain stuck in doubt. You were given the ability to choose, to move, to strive, and when you take action despite fear, you align yourself with growth, with effort, with trust that your steps are not meaningless. Sometimes clarity doesn't come before action, it comes because of action. You step forward and then the path begins to reveal itself. You try, you learn, you adjust, and with each movement you gain something far more valuable than comfort. You gain strength. Fear tells you to wait. Action tells you to begin. Fear tells you to be certain. Action teaches you along the way. Fear keeps asking questions. Action starts answering them. And emotionally, this is where the real shift happens. When you stay still, fear feels heavy, almost suffocating. It sits on your chest, drains your energy, and makes you feel powerless. But when you move even slightly, you feel a sense of release. A sense of control returns. A sense that you are no longer trapped. Because you were never meant to live in hesitation. You were meant to move, to try, to fall, and rise again. And every time you choose action over overthinking, you weaken fear's grip on your life. The people who appear fearless are not people without fear. They are people who have trained themselves to act before fear has the chance to grow too strong. They understand something most people ignore, that waiting does not remove fear, it multiplies it. And over time, this becomes a pattern. You stop negotiating with fear. You stop giving it time to grow. You feel it and you move anyway. And slowly, what once felt impossible begins to feel familiar. Confidence is often misunderstood. People think it comes from motivation, from hype, from temporary feelings of inspiration. They wait to feel confident before they act. But real confidence doesn't come before action. It is built through what you do consistently, especially when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline is the foundation. It is quiet, often invisible, and sometimes uncomfortable. It doesn't rely on mood, emotion, or perfect conditions. It shows up when motivation disappears. It continues when excitement fades. And in that consistency, something powerful begins to form inside you. Because every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you send a message to your soul. I can trust myself. That trust is the root of real confidence. Simpler. Not the loud kind that seeks attention, but the deep, steady belief that you can rely on yourself in any situation. A belief that doesn't shake easily because it is built on evidence, not emotion. Discipline creates that evidence. Waking up when you said you would. Doing the work when no one is watching. Continuing when it becomes difficult. Choosing what is right over what is easy. These moments may seem small, but they accumulate, and over time, they shape your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who tries. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through. And that shift changes everything. Because when life presents challenges, and it will, you don't question your ability the same way. You've already proven to yourself again and again that you can endure discomfort, that you can stay consistent, that you can rise above excuses. There is also a deeper spiritual layer to discipline. Discipline is a form of sincerity. It reflects how seriously you take the life you've been given. It shows whether you honor your time, your potential, and the responsibilities placed upon you. It is not just about productivity, it is about integrity. Doing what you know is right, even when it is difficult. Showing up, even when no one else notices. Staying committed, even when results are slow. In those quiet moments, when it's just you and your choices, discipline becomes a form of accountability, not to the world, but to something higher. A reminder that your effort is seen, that your consistency has meaning, that your struggle is not wasted. And emotionally, discipline transforms you. At first, it feels heavy. You resist it. You negotiate with it. You look for easier paths. But when you begin to embrace it, something shifts inside you. You feel stronger, more in control, less dependent on how you feel. Because you realize that your actions are no longer controlled by your emotions. Your emotions begin to follow your actions. And that is where confidence grows. Not in moments of comfort, but in moments of commitment. Not when things are easy, but when you choose to continue anyway. The person who lacks discipline often doubts themselves. They start things and don't finish. They make promises and break them. And over time, that creates a quiet insecurity, a voice inside that says, I'm not consistent, I'm not reliable, I can't trust myself. But discipline rewrites that voice. It replaces doubt with certainty. It replaces hesitation with direction. It replaces weakness with strength. And slowly you begin to carry yourself differently. You speak differently. You act differently. Not because you are pretending, but because you have built something real within yourself. Simpler. Confidence is not something you declare. It is something you demonstrate through your habits, your actions, and your consistency. And discipline is the path that builds it. Fear becomes powerful when your life feels unclear. When you don't know where you're going, every risk feels dangerous. Every decision feels heavy. Every step feels uncertain. And in that uncertainty, fear finds space to grow. But the moment your purpose becomes clear, something inside you begins to shift, because purpose gives direction. It answers the deeper question of why. And when your why is strong enough, the how stops intimidating you the same way. The obstacles don't disappear. The fear doesn't vanish completely, but it loses its control over your choices. You begin to realize that what you are moving toward is greater than what you are afraid of. Purpose pulls you forward in a way fear cannot hold you back. Without purpose, fear feels like a wall. With purpose, fear becomes a small hurdle along the path. And this is where most people struggle. They try to eliminate fear without strengthening their purpose. They focus on avoiding discomfort instead of defining what truly matters to them. But when you know why you must move, hesitation starts to feel heavier than fear itself. There is a deep emotional weight in purpose. It connects to the life you want to build, the people you want to support, the person you are trying to become, and sometimes it goes even deeper than that. It becomes a responsibility, a quiet understanding that your life is not random, that your abilities are not accidental, that the opportunities in front of you carry meaning, that you are not here just to exist, you are here to contribute, to grow, to fulfill something that only you can fulfill in your own way. And when that realization settles in your heart, fear starts to feel smaller, simpler. Because now it's no longer just about you avoiding discomfort, it's about you honoring something greater than yourself. There is also a spiritual dimension to purpose. Purpose is not always loud or obvious. Sometimes it is discovered in moments of reflection, in times of struggle, and the quiet awareness that your life has value beyond temporary comfort. It is the feeling that you are guided towards something meaningful, even when the path is not fully visible. And when you begin to trust that, fear starts to lose its authority, because you understand that difficulty is part of the journey, not a sign to stop. That challenges are shaping you, not breaking you. That the path may test you, but it is also preparing you. Fear often asks, what if things go wrong? Purpose responds, what if this is exactly where I'm meant to grow? And emotionally, this creates strength. When you are disconnected from purpose, fear feels personal. It feels like a threat to your safety, your identity, your comfort. But when you are connected to purpose, fear becomes part of the process. It becomes something you move through, not something you run from. You stop asking, how do I avoid fear? You start asking, what must I do regardless of fear? And that shift changes your behavior. You take steps even when your hands shake. You make decisions even when you feel uncertain. You continue even when the outcome is unclear, because stopping is no longer an option when your purpose is clear. There is also pain in ignoring purpose, a quiet frustration, a sense of emptiness, a feeling that you are capable of more but not living it. And that feeling stays with you. It follows you in your routine, in your comfort, in your moments of silence. It reminds you that something is missing, not because life is difficult, but because you are not fully aligned with what you are meant to pursue. And over time, that discomfort becomes heavier than fear itself, because fear challenges you temporarily, but a lack of purpose drains you continuously. So when your purpose becomes truly strong, it begins to outweigh your fears, not because you become fearless, but because what you are living for becomes more important than what you are afraid of. Your mindset does not stay strong on its own. It does not hold its shape without effort. Left unattended, it drifts. It absorbs doubt, negativity, distraction, and fear quietly, gradually, without you even realizing it. Just like the body weakens without movement, the mind weakens without discipline. And most people don't notice it happening. They wake up and immediately consume noise, opinions, comparisons, distractions. They allow their thoughts to be shaped by whatever they see and hear, instead of consciously deciding what they allow into their mind. And over time, this creates a mindset that is reactive, not intentional. But a strong life cannot be built on an untrained mind, because your mindset controls how you interpret everything. Younger than you feel, older than you look, stronger than you are, even your own worth. It shapes your reactions, your decisions, and ultimately your direction. If your mindset is weak, everything feels heavier than it actually is. Small problems feel overwhelming. Temporary setbacks feel permanent. Doubt feels like truth. But when your mindset is trained, something changes. You begin to see clearly. You respond instead of reacting. You remain steady even when situations are uncertain. Not because life becomes easy, but because your mind becomes stronger, simpler. And that strength does not come randomly. It is built daily, through what you think about, through what you focus on, through what you repeat to yourself. Your thoughts are not neutral. They are shaping you, either strengthening you or weakening you. There is also a deeper responsibility here. You have been given a mind capable of reflection, awareness, and choice. But if you do not guide it, it will follow whatever is easiest. It will lean toward comfort, toward fear, toward limitation. Training your mindset is a form of accountability. It is choosing to rise above automatic thinking, choosing to replace negativity with intention, choosing to direct your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. And there is a spiritual depth to this as well. Your inner world matters. What you allow to live in your mind affects your heart, your actions, and your character. Guarding your thoughts is not just about success, it is about alignment, about keeping your intentions clean, your focus clear, and your direction meaningful. Because what you repeatedly think, you begin to believe. And what you believe, you begin to live. Emotionally, an untrained mind feels chaotic. It moves from doubt to fear, from comparison to insecurity. It drains your energy without you doing anything physical. It makes you feel stuck, even when opportunities are around you. But when you begin to train your mind daily, there is a sense of control that returns. Not control over everything outside, but control over how you respond inside. You start to notice your thoughts. You challenge what is not true. You replace what is weak with what is strong. And slowly your internal voice begins to change. From "I can't handle this" to "I will find a way." From "this is too hard" to "this is making me stronger." From "I'm not ready" to "I will grow into it." This doesn't happen overnight. It is built through repetition, daily reminders, daily focus, daily correction. Because the mind learns through consistency, not intensity. And just like a muscle, the more you train it, the more resilient it becomes. So when challenges come, and they will, you don't collapse under pressure. You remain grounded, you remain focused, you remain steady. Not because life is easy, but because your mindset is prepared. And that preparation is not built in one moment. It is built every single day. Perfection is often a mask. It looks like high standards, careful planning, and wanting things to be right, but underneath, it is often fear. Fear of being judged, fear of failing, fear of not being good enough. So you wait. You tell yourself you'll start when you're ready, when everything is clear, when the timing is perfect, when your confidence is higher. And while you wait, time moves, opportunities pass, energy fades. What feels like preparation slowly becomes hesitation. And hesitation feels safe, but it quietly holds you back. Because perfection is an illusion. There is no moment where everything aligns perfectly. There is no version of you that will suddenly feel completely ready. There will always be uncertainty. There will always be something you don't know yet. And that's not a problem, that's the process. Growth was never designed to happen in perfect conditions. It happens in movement, in mistakes, in trying, adjusting, and trying again. Imperfect action is real. It is messy, uncomfortable, and sometimes uncertain. But it creates progress. It gives you feedback. It teaches you what works and what doesn't. Hesitation, on the other hand, creates nothing. It keeps everything in your mind, ideas, plans, dreams, but never allows them to take shape in reality. And over time, that creates frustration. A quiet tension between what you could be doing and what you are actually doing. Emotionally, that tension becomes heavy. You start to doubt yourself, not because you failed, but because you never gave yourself the chance to try. You begin to question your potential, your ability, your direction. And deep down, you know it's not a lack of capability, it's a lack of action. There is also a deeper lesson here. You are not created to wait for perfect conditions. You are given the ability to move, to strive, to take steps even when things are unclear. And there is value in that effort itself. Trying carries weight, effort carries meaning, movement carries growth, even when the outcome is not what you expected. Because every imperfect step shapes you. It builds experience, it builds resilience, it builds awareness. And most importantly, it builds courage. Courage is not something you feel before you act, it is something you develop because you act. Every time you take a step without certainty, you strengthen something inside you. You prove that you are capable of moving forward despite doubt. You show yourself that fear does not have the final say. And slowly, hesitation loses its power. You stop waiting for perfect clarity. You stop needing complete confidence. You stop overanalyzing every possibility. You begin to trust the process. There is also a spiritual trust in this. A belief that your effort is not wasted, that your steps matter, even if they are small, even if they are imperfect. That moving forward with sincerity holds more value than standing still in doubt. Because sometimes the path only becomes clear after you begin walking. Waiting will not reveal it. Overthinking will not reveal it. Only action will. And imperfect action, no matter how small, is always closer to growth than perfect hesitation. You may think your courage comes only from within, but look closely, and you'll see it is constantly being shaped by what surrounds you. Your environment is not neutral. It is either feeding your growth or slowly draining your potential. It is either expanding your thinking or quietly shrinking it. And most of the time, this happens without you even realizing it, because you adapt. You absorb the energy, the beliefs, the standards of the people around you. If hesitation is normal around you, you begin to hesitate. If excuses are common, you begin to justify your own. If fear dominates conversations, it slowly becomes part of your thinking. And then you start believing that this is just who you are. But it's not. It's what you've been surrounded by. Put the same person in a different environment, one where people take risks, where growth is expected, where action is valued, and something begins to change. The same person who once doubted themselves starts to think bigger, act bolder, and move faster, because courage is contagious, just like fear is. If you are constantly around people who play small, you will feel uncomfortable dreaming big. If you are surrounded by negativity, your confidence will quietly erode. If you are in spaces where growth is not valued, your ambition will begin to fade. And emotionally, this creates a silent struggle. You feel like you're capable of more, but something keeps pulling you back. You try to push forward, but your environment keeps normalizing, staying the same. Over time, that tension becomes exhausting. Because deep down, you know you're meant for more, but everything around you keeps reinforcing less. There is also a deeper responsibility in this. You are accountable for what you allow to influence you. Not everything around you can be controlled, but what you choose to stay connected to, what you choose to listen to, what you choose to engage with, these are decisions. And those decisions shape your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your level of courage. There is even a spiritual awareness in this. Your surroundings affect your inner state. The voices you listen to influence your thoughts. The energy you stay around affects your heart. And if you are not careful, you can slowly drift away from clarity, from purpose, from the person you are meant to become. Protecting your environment is not just about success, it is about alignment. It is about choosing what strengthens you instead of what weakens you. And this does not always mean physically leaving people or places. Sometimes it means setting boundaries, limiting exposure, being more intentional with your time and attention. Because not every voice deserves access to your mind, and not every environment deserves your presence. Courage grows where it is supported, where action is normal, where growth is encouraged, where failure is seen as part of the journey, not something to fear. In those environments, you begin to feel safe taking risks. You begin to trust yourself more. You begin to step forward without overthinking every outcome. But in the wrong environment, even small steps feel difficult. You question yourself more. You hold back more. You shrink without realizing it. And over time, you may start believing that you lack courage, when in reality, you've just been placed in a space that doesn't allow it to grow. Because courage is not only built internally, it is nurtured externally. And when you begin to choose your environment with intention, you begin to choose the level of courage you allow in your life. At the end of the day, the question is not whether fear will show up at will. The real question is, will you let it decide your future? Because a fearless life isn't about eliminating fear, it's about mastering it. So take the step, make the move, do the thing you've been avoiding. Your fearless life is waiting, but it only begins when you decide.